If you talk to any New Orleans person, how we set time is before and after Katrina.
10 years after the storm, New Orleans is back to almost 80% of its pre-Katrina population. But in the months that followed the hurricane, across the country, hundreds of thousands wondered if they would ever get home. And many, like Syrena Johnson, were still desperate to find missing loved ones. Relocated to Houston, she had no news about her father. Finally, through databases set up to help evacuees find each other, word got through that he'd made it out alive.
My dad found us and he drove to Texas.
And the family was reunited. Though they were finally together again, like so many displaced by the storm, Syrena still longed to go back to New Orleans. But to what? And how would she find her way in a struggling city? How were you about being back?
I was anxious to go back to my neighborhood and see how everything was.
How everything was came as a terrible shock.
People haven't come back. They just vanished.
For Syrena, life in the Big Easy was not easy.
I could have went so many paths. I could have did so many things. I could have ended up in bad places from where I came from. I chose not to do those things. I chose to get a job. I chose to work instead of stay out in the streets. I chose to finish school.
And she chose to enter a program called Liberty's Kitchen.
It's for at-risk youth, and it's a program to teach you job skills through cooking.
And just as Syrena started wondering how to make a future for herself, a stranger was working hard to fulfill a promise he'd made to himself.
I'd been in combat in the Marine Corps. I thought I'd seen bad things, but seeing so many people just so torn up their entire lives, it hit me that and what I could do best would be, cook around the clock. So we started setting up small red bean and rice kitchens where we would feed people.
Besh, at the time a rising celebrity chef, joined other members of the food community and fed everyone from residents to first responders.
Cooking for people that were hungry changed the way I'll think about food and serving people for the rest of my life.
His new mission, to nurture and transform lives through a scholarship program to one of the world's best cooking schools in New York City.
When they first told me about the scholarship, I was like, okay, that sounds too good to be true. I applied, and I was like, maybe I might have a chance, but I don't know. And then you had to talk with Chef Besh, just have an interview with him. I was like, okay. I was like, I don't really know him, but I Googled him. I had to, find out all my homework.
That's cool. So you didn't know who Chef Besh was? Nor did she know about his signature restaurant, August.
It's the fancier class of New Orleans, so I'm sure I wouldn't know about it.
Tell me about your first meeting with Chef Besh.
So I went there and I was like, all right, it's a little fancy little spot. And I'm kind of nervous, but I'm good with talking to people, so I'm okay. And we talking for a while. And then I really went home and was like, I think I might have this. I think this man liked me, or he sees something in me.
She has the energy, she has the smarts. And I met Syrena at Liberty's Kitchen, presented her with the scholarship, and she was flabbergasted.
I'm like, what? I was like, you going to New York? And immediately after that, it was just, everything took off.
She went to New York and just killed it.
Soon after graduating, she wound up working at some of New Orleans' top restaurants. What do you think it is about you?
I don't know. Look, I ask myself this all the time, especially going through this. I'm like, what is it about me that these people see?
What people see is that while focusing on the future, Syrena hasn't forgotten the past.
Hey, Miss Lily.
No sooner did she arrive in New Orleans than she started working, training those in the same outreach program that she came from.
Y'all need this program. If y'all here, y'all figured out something in y'all life.
She has come back and she's made a difference in her world. And that is how we're going to change New Orleans. That's why New Orleans is a better place.
Up next, Harry Connick Jr. brings the musicians home again.
We love our culture, and we will always fight to keep what makes New Orleans great alive.
And the musicians bring home hope, trumpeting recovery all across the Gulf Coast.